Welcome to Africa Insight. In this week's video, we look at two stories, one in Kenya, while my colleague Ruth looks at a story in Burundi. So on June 25th, thousands of Kenyans took to the streets of Nairobi and other parts of the country in a commemorative march to remember the 60 people who were killed during last year's unrest. This year, the government treaded very carefully not to raise any taxes in a bid to prevent any unrest akin to 2024. The protests initially started off peaceful, Ruth, with protesters gathering in Nairobi CBD and around other government buildings around 9 a.m. However, the protests were also held within the domestic pressures of the arrest of Ruth Kasanga, who created a platform to oppose the 2025 finance bill, and the death of blogger Albert Ojwang. It's not exactly sure what set off the violence, especially in Nairobi, but Kenyan police responded with their usual aggressive tactics. Reports indicate that at least 8 people have been killed, with another 400 injured. The now familiar chant of Ruto must go echoed throughout crowds, a stark reminder of public anger against President William Ruto. The pressure was turned up around 12 o'clock when the Kenyan Communications Authority ordered that all Kenyan newspapers and radio stations stop covering the unrest. This was eventually overturned by a court as unconstitutional, while international media and social media continued to cover the unrest. Ahead of the 2025 finance bill, we expected the government to avoid tax hikes to prevent unrest. Yet, Mr. Ruto's handling of Ms. Nigeria's arrest and the death of Mr. Ojwang proved a costly misstep. This year's unrest is less about taxes and more a clear expression of deep social and political pressures. These issues will definitely weigh heavily on Mr. Ruto's reputation as he eyes a second term in 2027. So Ruth, what's happening in Burundi?
Yes, Jervin. So Burundi's constitutional court officially validated the results of the June 5 legislative elections on Friday, June 20. It confirmed a clean sweep for the ruling National Council for the Defense of Democracy, Forces for the Defense of Democracy, which secured all 100 directly elected seats in parliament. The National Independent Electoral Commission reported that the CNDD-FDD received a 96.5% of the vote. At the same time, no other party surpassed the 2% threshold required for representation in parliament. While some international observers have lauded Burundi's elections for being peaceful, others have opposing views, with opposition claiming that there were electoral irregularities, which the Constitutional Court has since rejected. The CNDD-FDD's landslide victory aligns with our earlier forecast. The ruling party's consolidation of authority through a facade of democracy, marked by control over the electoral apparatus and the judiciary, has severely undermined democratic institutions in Burundi. With President Everest Ndayishimiye's party securing another supermajority, the focus will now shift to Burundi's deepening economic crisis, with inflation hitting 41% year-on-year in March 2025, its highest in decades, due to a weak currency and soaring food prices. We project an average inflation rate of 39% for the year. Domestically, Mr. Ndayishimiye will probably frame the win as a mandate to unify the country and reinforce state institutions, especially the military. Regionally, amid the conflict in the eastern DRC, he will likely intensify anti-Rwanda rhetoric to stir nationalist support and use regional tensions to justify increased military spending along the Rwanda-DRC-Burundi border. I think let's leave it at that, Jervin.
Thank you for joining Africa Insight this week. If you'd like more information on our products or services, please visit our website or socials.